Now, this next question, I call the mouthful question, and sometimes I tie it back to the leadership question earlier, which you answered was collaboration. Could you describe in detail a particular incident or scenario where you utilize your own philosophy on leadership? Now, in this case, it could be collaboration or it could be something totally separate. An incident that kind of embodies Dick Wilson. That's why I come up with the question.
Okay, I'll give you I think I can give you a good answer.
Okay.
I had a really dear friend for 20 some odd years.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Michael White.
Yeah.
And Mike was an African American, self-noted drunk, a crack-headed drunk is what he called himself.
Yeah.
Because there was a period until he found sobriety 20 some odd years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what he was.
Right.
And in finding God in sobriety,
Mm-hmm.
he created a wonderful business in the West End, 18 employees, multi-million-dollar filter business.
Mm-hmm.
And he also created a house of recovery called Our Father's Place,
Okay.
where hundreds of people have gone through the stages of recovery from alcohol and drugs.
That's great.
3 or 4 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
as an offshoot from that, he wanted to start yet another charity, and he called it, of course, the Michael White Recovery Center
Sure.
at 25th and Market.
Mm-hmm.
And at that center, it would provide a safe, secure place for AA meetings. It would be a safe place for people in recovery to be during the day. And ultimately, it became a place where they could get jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're sober and don't have a decent job, your sobriety is seriously at risk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Mike passed the first week of August 2 years ago.
Okay.
And the one thing he didn't do, and
He was young.
he was 53.
Wow.
He had lung cancer. He knew he was going to die, and he worked until the Friday before he passed away, and he worked until he passed 3 days later.
Mm-mm-mm.
The one thing he didn't prepare for was legacy with his charity,
Yeah.
and there was a point where the recovery center was going to close.
Okay.
So it was either close or, Dick, can you help?
Right.
So being collaborative, and this is another example, I've never had an original idea in my life. I take other people's ideas
You're too
and try to
self-deprecating,
adapt
my
them.
friend.
Trust me, it's easier my way.
Okay. Okay. You heard it here first, folks.
It's a lot easier.
All right.
But the center had been operating, and it was faltering. And thanks to our wonderful mayor, Greg Fisher,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking over a football game. He was Mike's true friend.
Okay.
And he said, how's the center going? I said, it's probably going to close. And he said, Dick, anything I can do to help, we've got to keep it open.
Mm-hmm.
So with the mayor's backing,
That's great.
I approached some friends. Gene Gilchrist, who's a dear friend of mine,
Mm-hmm.
68-year-old executive who was passionate about recovery,
Mm-hmm.
agreed to come and help. And Gene understands recovery and has worked at recovery for years, so he became our unpaid president of the board.
Okay.
We have a banker that decided after a quarter of a century of being in the banks and a senior vice president, there was something more,
Mm-hmm.
and he agreed to help us on the finance side.
Right.
We have a wonderful lady that's done marketing and advertising and PR at 65. She's willing to donate her time.
Okay.
And what we managed to put together collaboratively,
Mm-hmm.
we're a group of wonderful people that were willing to come help the center. We have a house mother who's 60 some odd, retired, 4 years sober, and he actually has kept the center open for the last 2 years, never receiving a penny. He made a commitment to Mike that he would keep an eye over the operations.
Mm-hmm.
He understands it a lot better than we do. And between the house mother, my 3 or 4 primary volunteers, and dozens of other people to help us out,
Mm-hmm.
we've got 800 people a week coming to AA meetings.
Wow.
They're seeking sobriety, and thanks to another collaboration with MSIL staffing, we've delivered 1,500 jobs to people in 14 months.
That's great. Yeah, we mentioned some of that stuff in your
1%
bio.
drug failure.
That's got to be unheard of.